Welcome to the Board of Trustees meeting for Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. This is the Committee of the Whole meeting, Thursday, September 11th, 2014. I am not Don Ryan, oddly enough. I am substituting for him this evening. Our secretary, Ms. Christine Hartley, is with us this evening, as well as Dr. Henry, Superintendent of the School District. The Board of Trustees of Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District will convene in a Committee of the Whole meeting on Thursday, September 11th, 2014, and a regular meeting on Monday, September 15th, 2014, in the boardroom at the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Instructional Service Center, 10300 Jones Road, Houston, Texas. The items on this agenda do not necessarily have to be handled in the order listed on this notice. If during the course of the meeting covered by this notice, the Board should determine that a closed session of the Board should be held or is required in relation to any item included in this notice, then such closed session as authorized by Section 551.001 Exec, the Texas Government Code, known as the Open Meetings Act, will be held by the Board at that date, hour, and place given in this notice or as soon as the commencement of the meeting covered by this notice, as the Board may conveniently meet in such closed session concerning any and all subjects and for any and all purposes permitted by Sections 551.071 through 551.084 inclusive of the Open Meetings Act. The presiding officer will present the following agenda. I now call this meeting to order. The Board of Trustees of Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District welcomes the members of our audience and our television viewers to the meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Cypress-Fairbanks Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the Board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled, as I indicated in the order listed on the notice. These proceedings are airing live on Cy-Fair TV Channel 16 and Cy-Fair TV Online on the district website. They will also be rebroadcast through the month on Channel 16 and available as video on demand on the website. For the tape to adequately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. We thank you for taking the time to join us this evening and for your interest in the Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District. Before we move to the agenda, I would like to recognize some people. First, we have three members of Troop 120, which is chartered out of Wilson Elementary. These Scouts are currently at Watkins Elementary, and if you would please stand, and if the cameras can zoom in on you. And we welcome your attendance tonight and also that of your parents. Our student crew is from Jersey Village High School. That includes Maddie Moore, Aaron Cuevas, Coben LeBleu, Welder Cordova, Ariana Perez, Ciara Mackey, George Rosales, Natalie Rodriguez, Juan Ortega, Keitha Hanks. The advisor is Cindy Stoker. In addition, from the CLC this evening, we have Bill Gafford. And Bill, if you would stand, wave to the cameras quickly. Thanks for being here, Bill. The board will now review and discuss the following action items. And of course, these items may be considered both tonight at the Committee of the Whole meeting as well as the regular board meeting. The board will consider awarding bids and contracts and/or authorizing purchase orders as recommended in the posted agenda item. This is item 4A. We have 13 items. I'm going to read all 13 items and then I will ask the board if there are any questions. Number 1, period, art paper. 2, period, automatic bus wash system. 3, commercial dough portioner food service. 4, comprehensive applicant tracking system. 5, district fundraiser services. 6, grocery goods and supplies, 7, HVAC parts and supplies, 8, insulation services, 9, plumbing parts and supplies, 10, specialized educational services, 11, spirit apparel and promotional items, 12, student driver transit video surveillance system, and 13, technology project management services. Are there any questions or comments from members of the board? I do have one question. If we could have a brief explanation on the technology project management services and the need for that. It's not a large contract, but I do think it's, since it's related to the bond proposal, I'd like a little more information.
Okay. Good evening. The scope of the technology infrastructure bond for the 2014 bond is a multi-threaded project that we have prioritized for the 2014 through December of 2015 to be implemented. It's a very large contract dealing with multiple vendors. If we look at the sub-projects that will come about as a result of planning for the implementation, there could be up to 1,000 sub-projects concurrently going on all at one time. We have a very lean staff within Cyfair. We believe that if we are to stay within our time frame and to implement successfully and minimize the risk, that a project management team augmented with our staff will produce the greatest level of success. For example, just this week, we're in the process of starting up school, managing the technology projects, the ongoing baseline projects that we have to support. The technology project management services team is a team of 5 that's being proposed. That is an adjunct of 5 staff members to our own that are project managers. They bring highly specialized expertise that can help validate our proposals, can help manage and help us design the technology architecture for the bond. And we feel that the consultants, the project management team, will provide us a great amount of expertise that will help us be successful and minimize the risk for the district in the implementation.
Very good, thank you. Questions, comments? Let's move to item B. The board will consider approving on second reading additions, revisions, or deletions to district policies. We have no presentations. Questions only from the board. There are 3 items. CK Local Safety Program Risk Management, which is a revision. B2, which is FFH Local Student Welfare Freedom from Discrimination, Harassment, and Retaliation, revised. Item 3, FNCT Local Student Conduct, Tobacco Use, and Possession, revised. Questions, comments from the board? Let's move to item C. The board will consider approving construction proposals and contracts paid from food service funds to the recommended contractor and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents related to such contracts as follows. Food Production Center Warehouse Addition. Once again, no presentation. Any questions? I do have one short question. Roy, would you briefly comment on the need for the addition to the warehouse?
Yes, sir. Currently, the Food Service Department is leasing a dry storage warehouse in the West Little York area, and we've been doing that since 1998. And then when you look at the monthly rental fee that we're paying, which is approximately $19,000 a month for approximately 31,000 square feet, and that lease expires in 2015, we felt there was a strong need for us to go ahead and build our own facility and eliminate the rental costs that we're experiencing, and then be able to double our capacity in terms of storage capability. So this project will be funded out of our food service funds, and we plan on starting construction, assuming the board approves this on Monday night, to get it underway as quickly as possible.
Very good, thank you. We'll then move to item D. The board will consider approving construction proposals and contracts paid from bond funds to the recommended contractor and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents. This relates to high school number 11. We have a brief presentation.
Mr. Jackson, members of the board, Dr. Henry, we're asking the board tonight to consider approving the contract award recommendation for the construction of high school number 11, which will be funded from our 2007 bond program and will be located on our multi-campus site at FM 529 and West Green Boulevard. And this project has a scheduled opening date of August of 2016. We had a total of 4 interested general contractors that actually had the bonding capacity to handle such a large contract that were interested in the project. A total of 2 proposals were actually received on August 14th. And I want to point out to the board and our public that we had significant participation from our subcontractor market. We had over 350 subcontractors based on the information provided to us by our general contractors that were submitting proposals to the general contractors for consideration across all the trades. And that's probably one of the most participation we've had on any Cyfair project in a long, long time. So we were very, very pleased with that, and we know that gives us a very good competitive price with the market that we're dealing with today. Our evaluation committee carefully reviewed the proposals and received, and as a result of this evaluation, we're recommending to the board to award the construction contract to Satterfield and Ponticus Construction Incorporated, who is the highest ranked offerer, providing the district the best value in the amount of $127,640,000 based on the acceptance of the base proposal and selected alternates that were included in the project, as well as a post-proposal addendum. We entered into formal negotiations with Satterfield, and as a result of that negotiations, we were very successful in reducing our project costs $9.561 million with no impact to our proposed scope work. And it was a very collaborative effort when we went into the negotiation process and utilizing what we call a building information model that was produced for this project to evaluate where there's potential cost savings or misunderstanding of the scope of work. And as a result of that, we were able to achieve some savings and still achieve the overall scope of work that we included in the project. So we're very, very pleased with that. The other thing I wanted to point out, included in this contract award recommendation, we actually have some infrastructure costs to help facilitate the construction of the future elementary and middle school on this site, as well as with the bond approved in the 2014 bond that was approved, we had upgrades included at our existing high schools. So when we were designing this project, we brought some additional scope into this contract to make sure we match up with the new high school upgrades, or not the new, but the existing high school upgrades, such as security enhancements and the acoustical shells and the wood floor for the gym, for the dance floors. So those were all upgrades from our previous standard that were really not incorporated into our budget. So we feel really good about the contract award recommendation that we're presenting to you guys tonight. I did want to point out that, this high school was originally scheduled to open back in the 2010-11 school year, and it's being funded from the 07 program. So that resulted in about a 5-year delay in construction, which was a result of the state funding shortfall that we experienced, that we had to push school opening dates back. If you looked at the price that we had back in 07, that we projected, and you extended the inflation rate that we included back then to this point, if we knew this school would open in 2016-17, our projected costs are right on target based on the inflationary market. So we feel very good that we're getting a very good competitive price for this project and the scope of work that we've included. And then right now, the significant amount of construction work that's underway in the Houston market area, it has also caused a serious strain on the labor and material resources available, and that's also inflating the construction costs that we're dealing with at this time, because if you've been driving around Houston, Texas, anywhere, you see cranes everywhere, no matter what part of the city you drive around from that standpoint. So we've been seeing that impact over the last 9 months, and that's going to continue based on the growth of the city right now. Satterfield and Ponticus specializes in K-12 construction in the Houston area. They also do work in Louisiana as well as in Dallas area, and the majority of their work is K-12 schools. They've done numerous projects for Cyfair ISD, which included 4 major renovations and additions that valued, it was about over $157 million on 4 GMP contracts. That was Blisle Middle School, Lampkin, Jersey Village, and Cy Creek High School, and they completed those projects as well as renovations and additions to Lampkin, Arnold, and Cyfair High School. That work was valued at about over $36 million. So we feel they're very well qualified to complete this contract with the duration schedule that we have in place to meet the opening date for the project. And then one last point I want to make is that we actually utilized Satterfield and Ponticus to help us when Hurricane Ike hit. And they were instrumental in working with our team to help put the district back together within a short period of time so we can actually get the school back up and running within 7 days. And with their resources and their contacts, they were instrumental in making us be able to make that happen, to be able to get emergency generators and the other things we needed to do to get the buildings back up and running. So with that, I recommend the contract award as presented tonight.
Thank you for a very thorough presentation. Questions from members on the board? Dr. Ogletree.
Roy, 2 questions. We had built this number 11 back in 2007 or
Yeah, we opened in
sometime-
2008.
It
was number 10.
What would it have cost us just to give our
Back then, when we
viewers?
did, it was Cypress Lakes High School. We actually constructed Cypress Ranch and Cypress Lakes at the same time. We started construction in 2006. Those schools, I believe, were open in 2008. The contract on high school 10, I think, was approximately $71 million. And then if you take that we included a 7% inflation factor back then in the 2007 bond program. So if you extend that $71 million and add that 7% inflation to current market, we're right on track with the cost and the proposal we're presenting to you all tonight to approve.
My second question, you mentioned that Satterfield, Ponticus, they've done a lot of renovation work. Have we engaged them to build a school from
Yes, sir.
ground up?
We have.
Okay.
Other questions, comments from members of the board? Dr. Henry?
Roy, if you don't mind, this is not a question, but just for the viewing public, tell everyone where this high school will be located, just so everyone knows.
Be glad to, Dr. Henry. The high school is going to be located on our multi-campus site, which is about a 179-acre site, and it's at the northwest corner of FM 529 and West Green Boulevard, which is west of Fry Road, and it's east of where the Grand Parkway is.
Darcy, did you have a question? No. Okay. Let's move to item E. The board will consider authorizing the superintendent or designee to enter into the miscellaneous professional service contracts related to the following projects: Food Production Center, Warehouse Addition, Material Testing Services, and Roof Inspection Services. High School number 11, HVAC Testing and Balance Services, Material Testing Services, Roof Inspection Services. Questions from the board? Item F, the board will consider approving the tax refunds of $500 or greater for Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. I did ask my standard questions offline, and I won't repeat them tonight. I think only I would find them humorous. Item G, the board will consider approving the minutes of the August 11, 2014 regular meeting. That concludes the consensus item. We now move to item 5, non-consensus. 5A, this will be taken up on Monday. 5B, the board will
I think we are going to have a presentation.
Oh.
It doesn't say it on Tom's script. It's our fault.
Very good. The board will consider adopting an order authorizing the issuance of Cypress-Fairbanks Independent School District Unlimited Tax School Building and Refunding Bonds, Series 2014C, setting certain parameters for the bonds, authorizing the superintendent and associate superintendent for business, financial, and technology services to approve the amount, the interest rate, price, including terms thereof, and certain other procedures and provisions related thereto. We have our presenters, Ryan O'Hara, it's good to see you again, and of course Stuart Snow on an as-needs basis.
I will kind of kick it off and then tag team with Ryan on this. But just as a preamble, I guess, so we are recommending that you approve the parameter bond orders on the that we're titling 2014C series bonds. And the parameter sale gives the administration the authority to sell those bonds on a negotiated basis within certain parameters. The purpose of the bonds for this negotiated transaction includes $330 million new money sale, combined with that combines the proceeds from 2004, 2007, and 2014 bond authorizations. So we're receiving money from each of the remaining authorizations that we have. The transaction will also include a refunding of previously issued bonds to produce and achieve a present value savings. The new money portion, let me just talk a little bit about that and tell you what's included in the new money portion. That includes $157 million for the construction costs and the architectural fees for high school number 12. Now, we just got through talking about high school number 11, but right on the heels of that will be high school number 12, and so we will be needing to begin work on that very soon. The construction cost, the $157 million will be coming from the 2004 bond authorization as well as the 2007 bond authorization. And as a matter of fact, it clears out the remaining authorization of the 2004 bonds. And then it also includes $173 million representing the first phase of projects from the 2014 bond authorization that was passed in May. That $173 million includes the technology infrastructure of $90 million. Again, we just got through talking about that a little bit. It also includes some security upgrades and renovations at all of the schools that include card readers at all schools, front door video cameras, lockdown panic buttons, and building camera upgrades throughout the district. It also includes renovation of the Pridgeon Stadium as well as the construction of the competition swimming pool. We have some communication towers included in that, and then some money there for future school site purchases. We have targeted certain maturities of certain bond series for the refunding portion, but the amount and the maturities included in that transaction is going to be dependent upon the market conditions essentially on the day that we do the pricing. You've already introduced Ryan O'Hara with BOSC. He's our financial advisor. He's here to present some information about the sale. Also, in addition, we have our co-bond counsel, Jonathan Frells from Bracewell and Giuliani, and Randy Bates with Bates and Coleman, and they are here to answer any legal questions that you may have. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. O'Hara and give you some information about the refunding and the market.
Thank you, Mr. Snow. Dr. Henry, members of the board, again, Ryan O'Hara with BOSC. I passed out a paper presentation, and I believe it's going to be up on the big screen as well. And it was a great setup by Mr. Snow, so I'll jump right in. On page 1 is simply an overview of the bond market. We always like to kind of give you an update of where tax-exempt rates are. The blue line is the bond buyer index 20. This looks across the country. These are AA rated. Right now it's at a 4.21. By virtue of the permanent school fund guarantee, we're going to be issuing AAA rated paper, so it's much better than this, but this gives you a good indication of where interest rates are, and they've been trending down rather dramatically over the past few weeks. Page 2 gives you an overview of the refinancing. Stuart did a good job of setting this up. It's kind of a game time decision of what bonds are in the mix based on the market, but this is a list. We've got approximately $188 million in par amount that we're looking at from the 2001 series, 2005A, 2006, 2007, and 2008. I have a couple maturities that aren't on here, and just to kind of give you an idea of how this can change in scope and size. From the 2007 issue, there's a 2029 and a 2030 maturity that together are about $126 million. If we get in there and the market's still rallying, so this could dramatically change, and that's one of the beauties of having a parameter order. We have the flexibility to go into the market on certain days, avoid bad days, and I'll be coordinating with Stuart and Karen as well when we get down to start making decisions. But right now we're looking at a roughly a $15.5 million in savings from this refinancing, basically taking bonds that are out at a 4.81% down to the 3% range. Page 3 is simply how that savings, how that $15.5 million in savings will show up. On the left-hand side of the page is our current outstanding debt service, less the bonds that we're refinancing. The middle column show the bulk of the bonds are going to be in 2020 to 2030, and that's the majority of our savings. You can kind of see in that yellow highlighted column there. Page 4 is simply the $330 million that Stuart talked about in the new money proceeds. Again, the left-hand side of the page is our current debt service, and the middle columns are principal and interest based on where we see market rates as of today, and that's approximately a 3.85% in today's market. Page 5 is the calendar that we're working on tonight. We're here tonight to present to you, and we'll be here Monday night asking for your approval on the parameter order. Between now and then, we're going to have rating agencies calls, diligence calls with the underwriters. We'll finalize the preliminary official statement, and I'm targeting the week of October the 6th to actually be in the market. Based on the forward calendar, there's going to be a lot of transactions in the middle of October, the weeks of the 13th and the 20th. This is a sizable transaction. This is going to be a market impact deal, and we're going to try and head off some of those other deals in the past. What happens is the more bonds in the market tends to affect interest rates in a negative way for us. So we think by getting out that early, we'll do some good. But again, that parameter order gives us flexibility to kind of stop and start if we want to. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Stuart introduced our legal team. If you got any legal questions, I'll defer to them, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Members of the board, questions, comments? Kevin? Mr. Hoffman?
No, I need a chance to really kind of look over it. This is my first time looking at it. You'll be back on Monday?
Yes, sir. You bet.
Other questions, comments? That being the case, we will not move this to the consent agenda just yet. We will leave it on the non-consent agenda.
I'll see you on Monday. Thank you.
See you Monday. Thank you. Item 5C, the board will consider approving the campus performance objectives for the 2014-15 campus improvement plans. We don't have a presentation tonight. This was in our board book, all 300 and some odd pages.
We skip B.
We'll come back to B. This was 80% of our board book. Any questions? Yes.
Okay, I guess, am I addressing Linda or, okay. Sorry, I couldn't see you behind Stuart's head, sorry. Okay, the target, sorry, not that you have a big head, you don't, I just couldn't see her, okay. The targets that were set, how is this number tabulated?
We have two areas where we set a target. One is for our campuses reaching the level 2 satisfactory level. And so that one, we set it if a campus is anywhere between or below 89 on their standard, then we set it at 90. If they're above the 90, then we set it at 100. Now, for this school year, the standards from the state are not changing. So that's why we continued with that process for this next year. And the second part that we look at is the advanced level 3. That standard is actually set. That's not changing. That's the highest level, and that is set. Think about the old commended type level.
Right.
And so that when we work with our campuses to reach that target over 3 years.
Okay, that was exactly what I wanted to know, because for some campuses, it seemed like a very big jump. And even just under the level 2. And I mean, but I love that we set high standards and we know that our children can achieve them.
Absolutely, and we want every campus to have those standards for all of our kids.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Item 5B, the board will consider approving the interlocal agreement with Region 4 Education Service Center to participate in the purchasing cooperative for background criminal history check services and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute all necessary documents related to these services. Questions, comments? Let's go ahead and move that to the consensus agenda. Item 5D, the board will consider approving on first reading additions, revisions, or deletions to district policies. Once again, no presentation. This includes, number 1, AE Local Educational Philosophy, revised. Number 2, DAC Local Employee Objectives, Objective Criteria for Personnel Decisions, which is a deletion. Questions, comments? Pleasure of the board to move this to the consent agenda as well? Yes, let's do so. I think we covered that, but let's bring it up. For the board, go ahead and move that to consent. Got agreement? Good. B is not. We're leaving that open for Monday. Item E. Oh, B was moved. We covered that. 5E, the board will consider approving the granting of a .0086 acre water meter easement to Harris County Municipal Utility District Number 196 for water services to Woodard Elementary School Number 54, and authorize the superintendent or designee to negotiate the final terms and execute all related documents. Once again, no presentation. Questions from the board? Let's go ahead and move this to consent. Yes, we'll move that. Item F, the board will consider approving a temporary right-of-way construction easement to Harris County for planned road work on Barker Cypress Road adjacent to Copeland Elementary School, and authorize the superintendent or designee to negotiate the final terms and execute all related documents. Once again, no presentation this evening. Any questions? Let's go ahead and move that to the consent agenda as well. Item number 6 will be covered on Monday, as will item number 7. That concludes the agenda, Madam Secretary. That being the case, I would entertain a motion to adjourn for this evening.
I so move.
Is there a second? All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you ever so much for coming this evening. Good night.